Rev up your engines! Okay, today we got a really interesting car. The original owner of a 2000 Lexus SC300. Back then they had the 400s and the 300s. The 400s were V8s and the 300s, interesting enough, were an inline six. My wife had a Toyota Crosser with the same engine. It's a straight 6-cylinder engine. Now, they weren't cheap. They paid like 45 grand for it when it was new. It was a lot of money in 2000. The funny thing about these Lexuses, though, they just go with inflation, because when they made their original one, and you compare the price with inflation to what a Lexus costs today, it's exactly the same price as when they first made them with the inflation added on. Look at the figures, you see it almost to the penny. So they just pretty much followed inflation. Now the original 400 Lexus, they wanted to sell them for $25,000. But they really started at $35,000 because the yen went down versus the dollar way back then, and they had to. Now the currency isn't quite as bad because they make Lexuses in the United States and in Cambridge, Ontario, so they don't have as much of the yen to dollar that they used to. But still, when you consider what they cost back then versus what they cost today, hey, I mean, if it was $35,000 originally, then this was $45,000, and that was years later. It's pretty much what inflation was. And if you go from this one to today's, it's still only about inflation. They're expensive cars, but they're not going out and really ripping people off. Now, the owner's been told by various mechanics that, oh, it needs an engine, it needs so much work, don't even bother fixing it. It's all worn out, get another car. Now, I'm not into that. It doesn't lose coolant. So that pretty much tells me, hey, the engine should be pretty solid. Some of these engines, as they age, the head gaskets would blow, they'd lose coolant. It's not losing coolant, it's not overheating. Yeah, it burns a little bit of oil, but it's got like 130,000 miles. My wife's Cressida burned a little bit of oil. We're gonna go through this whole thing and see what shape it's really in. So we're gonna start with my monster computer. Go into Diagnostics. It's beeping, so it's thinking. Now it's checking auto detect. It's old, it's 2000, but it shouldn't have any problems because these are pretty high-tech analytics built into the Lexuses. We'll do a standalone diagnosis. SC300, 2000, 2JZGE engine. Topology, but since it's so old, we only see 3 things instead of the 40 you see on a new one, but we're gonna scan the whole thing. And while it's scanning, these things are built in Japan. Look, it's still in immaculate shape. No tackiness. The leather seat's in good shape. The sunroof's still there. It's not leaking. Got everything. It's got a cassette player. Tape, check it out. Hey, there you go. These are fancy cup holders. Look, check it out. Look. Whoa, space age, you know? And it has an electronically controlled transmission. As you can see, it's old as a hill, has no code. We'll start her up. Look at live data. It's cold today, the machine's touching. Remember, black's good, red's bad, and we'll go through the data and we'll see what shape this car is in. Short-term fuel trim one is minus 0.03%. That means it's only 0.03% off of perfect. And this car's a quarter of a century old. It's 25 years old. People that are telling this car's worn out, so far, I think they're out of their minds. Half sensor's good, ignition's good. There's no red data. Everything actually looks to be in excellent shape. Go through everything else. Even has the temperature of the automatic transmission. Misfire, 0, of course. These things very rarely misfire. So there's the misfire count. Zeros across the board. All the cylinders, 0 misfires. All the tests are complete. It had no trouble codes. Shows how many milliseconds it takes to go from rich to lean, which is all working fine. So the guy that told him he needs a new motor is out of his freaking mind. This thing is running like a clock. We're gonna take it for a road test, see how it shifts, but it doesn't have any transmission codes either. The thing about these cars is they were so well made in Japan. Now, they don't make the straight 6-cylinder engine because for a lot of people, oh, the 6s don't put out enough horsepower in a straight configuration. With the V6, they have more torque because of the V configuration, and all of that's true. But these 6-cylinder engines can run forever, and they're extremely smooth too going down the road. Now, they're nothing great shakes about gas mileage. He's got a combined gas mileage of like 20.1 miles a gallon. That's what he gets on it. Get a little bit more on the highway, a little bit less in town. But, I mean, they're great running cars. And gas isn't all that expensive. You know, you're going to go out and buy a $55,000 new car. Yeah, you'll get 10, 15 miles a gallon better gas mileage. But you'll have spent $50-something thousand too. Okay, well, we're going to take it for a spin. And I asked the owner, he's done nothing to it other than tires, brakes, oil changes. These things were really solid make. The guys that were telling him he needs to get rid of it because the engine's going out, I don't know. They're either bald-faced liars or they're just dumb. I didn't meet them, so I don't know which one they are. Or maybe it's a combination of the two. We're going to take it for a spin and see how it goes. Now, we hear the muffler's a little bit worn, making some noise. Things wear out eventually. It's not going to affect the running of the car. It's not misfiring. It's still smooth as can be. But in a car like this, it's so smooth, you get a rattling muffler, you're really going to notice it because the things work so good. You can't even hear the shift. It's that smooth. And I mean, it's got 130,000 miles on it. These things were just well made in Japan for purists that really want a car that's smooth and lasts. This is actually one of the best cars that Toyota and Lexus ever made in 2000 because they can just run forever. The thing is, it's a straight six, so the gas mileage is somewhat lower. The new ones get a lot better gas mileage, but there's no way the new ones are going to last as long as these running this well with nothing but oil changes, brake jobs, and tires when they wear out. And you can see even the leather on the steering wheel still in good shape. These things were solid made. So what's the moral of the story? Don't listen to what a lot of people tell you. A guy tells him he needs an engine. He does not need an engine. It's not misfiring. It burns a little bit of oil. They do when they get older, these straight six engines. My wife's Toyota Cresta had the same exact engine. It burned a little bit of oil too. It's no big deal. You gotta have somebody like me that understands the cars to tell you what shape they're in, whether to get rid of them or not. You can't find a car like this today. It's got a lot of simplicity, really solid built. Now, the only hassle he's going to have is the body work, and that's not the car's fault. Body work is so expensive these days. You try to find guys that you're going to pay cash, that are good body men. A lot of them moonlight on the weekends. They'll have a garage at their house, office space somewhere where they can rent a garage. This is just plastic. You don't care where it comes from. So what if it's made in Taiwan? You're going to paint it to match the car. Things can be bent out. The car is solid. It's in excellent shape. I've seen these things with 350, 400,000 miles. This only has 130. It's still got a lot of life in it. And yeah, the muffler rattles. You're going to replace that too. But the car itself is solid. You're never going to be able to buy a car like this. They don't make them like this anymore. And so what if it only averages 20 miles a gallon city and highway driving because it runs so well? You're not going to be driving 8 million miles probably. He's retired. He's 80 years old. Hey, it's still a great car. All he has to do is find a good body shop that isn't going to charge way too much money, because most of them do. But if you talk cash and you don't need a receipt, you might find some guys that'll do pretty good work at a reasonable price when they know it's not insurance. They don't have to pay all the taxes and all that stuff and deal with an adjuster. They just have to fix it and make it look good, because this car is structurally fine. There's nothing structurally wrong with the car. Everything they do is just going to be cosmetic. And the rest of the car is in such good shape, I wouldn't tell somebody to get rid of this thing just because some fool told them the engine's going out. The engine is not going out. All it needs is a timing belt, because the timing belt has never been changed. It's got 130. You're supposed to change them every 100. It's a rubber timing belt. It's a VVTi engine, so it's interference engine. That's all he really needs to do mechanically. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, guess what the two worst used cars to buy are? And I agree entirely with what other people are saying. They say that Stellantis and Tesla are the bottom two. All the Stellantis crappy products and Teslas are the worst used cars to buy. Now, Tesla, of course, it makes total sense, super expensive to fix, to repair. If the battery's out of warranty and it goes, there's 15 grand you're going to throw on the toilet. But Stellantis, they've just been making bad stuff for a long time. Fiat, Anybody ever owned a Fiat, you'll know how bad cars can get, right? And Chrysler, they've been going downhill ever since Mercedes got rid of them. Sadly, when it was Daimler, Chrysler, and Mercedes owned them, their quality was actually going up. But Mercedes lost so much money. Fiat bought it, then the quality went. Then Stellantis bought an quality straight down like a parachutist. Not surprising that they're neck and neck with Tesla for making the worst used cars you could possibly buy. Chrysler, Dodge, Tesla, Jeep, and Ram had the worst reliability. So 5 out of the bottom 5, you got all Stellantis products and Tesla. And of course, the top spots for used cars, as everybody knows, Lexus, Toyota, Mazda, Acura, and Honda. Yes, and that really does make sense. Those are the better ones to buy used. They've been around for years. You can get parts for them. People know how to fix them. There's a tremendous aftermarket for them. It's the problem with electric cars is they're specialized parts, super expensive parts. So you can't say, oh, I'll get an aftermarket part. They don't make one. Now, there are some Chinese companies that are starting to make aftermarket parts, but a lot of them are garbage parts. Great, you got a super expensive electric car. You buy a garbage part, doesn't fix it. And nobody knows how to work on them anyways. So, no surprising that Tesla's on the bottom of the rung with Stellantis having the worst used cars you could possibly buy. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.